genre.
Back to the Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Around, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Nick Jimenez.
I'm Cassandra Fredrickson. Yay, we're out of order.
It's April Fool's Day, Cass. There are no rules.
We're all out of order.
I need rules. I need structure.
What's that? What's that super villain? This Superman villain with the weird name?
Bizarro?
Oh, Mixoplick?
Yeah. It's Mr. Mixoplick Day.
Yeah, Mr. Mixoplick. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know anything about Superman.
That's fine.
It's one of the 5 villains that have had any lasting social impact.
Legit.
It's true. Does he have that many? I don't think he
Bizarro,
does.
Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Mr. Mixoplick, and Lobo. I'm counting Lobo.
Okay, you're going to count Lobo. Well, today on the show, we will be discussing Doctor Who and the Daleks, the 1.5 Doctor's first story.
Good Lord.
Peter Cushing.
Yep.
Playing a character called Doctor Who.
Yep.
His name was Doctor Who.
So this is like this weird thing.
I was thinking about this last night. I've never been more excited to hear the history of how a Doctor Who thing happened than right now.
Well, what's interesting though is that like it's not really that interesting. It's more just about like what entertainment law was like in the 60s.
Sure.
Because the reason that this happened was because the BBC, I guess, hadn't secured like the rights to Doctor Who in a way that was concrete,
okay.
I guess. So they like there were like certain aspects of Doctor Who that they copywritten. It was like it's all like broken apart into pieces.
Yeah.
And the Daleks were owned by its creator, the writer of that episode, Terry Nation. And so because he owned the rights to the Daleks, he was able to get the story of his episode optioned by this production company called Amicus. And they wanted to make an adaptation of his Doctor Who story, The Daleks, and also like 2 sequels, in theory, to the movie. They ended up only making 1 sequel, but we're not talking about that one today. But so I guess the idea was that like they can say Doctor Who, but they have to abbreviate Doctor. They can't call the character the Doctor. They can only call him Doctor Who. They can't call it the TARDIS, but they can call it TARDIS. It can be a police box because you can't copyright a police box because those are a real thing in the 60s.
Yeah.
It'd be like trying to copyright a dresser, or like a phone booth. So like it was just like a lot of weird stuff where they just found all of these loopholes to make this movie, including keeping the characters named Ian Chesterton, Barbara, and Susan.
Uh-huh.
All of that was real. And then like all of the stuff that was in that first appeared in the episode written by Terry Nation was like good to go as far as what they could use in this, because he owned his script like outright. very strange entertainment law stuff going on. But yeah, it was a thing where it was like the Daleks were really, really popular, and I think Terry Nation was less than thrilled with the amount of times the Daleks were being used. He wanted them to be like the threat of the whole show,
like the Joker.
Yeah, he wanted the Daleks to be in like every single story, because one, my man wants to get paid, and two, he is insane. Terry Nation is crazy.
Yeah.
So he was not thrilled with how little they were using the Daleks, how sparingly. So he, sold the rights to make a Dalek movie.
Oops, all Daleks.
To this company. And they were like, well, we don't want to do this without the Doctor, so we're just going to make a new Doctor Who. I do like, in the context of the series Doctor Who, these are movies based on the actual Doctor. Which I guess was discussed in Day of the Doctor.
There is a hilarious, not to spoil it in case y'all end up reading it, but there's a really funny way that Stephen Moffat incorporates the Peter Cushing movies into Day of the Doctor, the novelization.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the movie, or it's in the episode too.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Where he says that like Peter Cushing and the Doctor were good friends, and he loaned him his jacket that he wears in this. And he's playing the Doctor.
That's funny.
As like so these movies exist in the Doctor Who universe. Which is honestly makes these make a lot more sense if that's what this is.
Yeah.
Cause it's like I keep picturing that guy from Rose. The guy who was like obsessed with the Doctor and was like looking up stuff. Yeah, and we was like finding like all of this like shady information about the Doctor. And I just think about if somebody came to him and was like, "Hey, can you write a script about this guy?" And like this is what he came up with. Like that's what that's what it reminds me of.
There's a part in the Rose novelization where Rose is going through that dude's garage and looking at all of the evidence, and she's like, "Homie, these look super fake."
Yeah.
How do you expect me to believe that all of this? Look at that. That's literally a dude with like a suction cup over his face. No, it's real. That's what they look like. I don't know how to explain it.
That's amazing. So this movie was made on £180,000.
Wow.
So, a bigger budget than the series, but still nothing to write home about for sure. But the Daleks, so they replaced a lot of the plungers on the Daleks with these little claw things to make them more imposing.
I love the little claw things.
And they couldn't do the laser ray, death ray effect on film because it was using some like a technology that was only available to like what they shot TV on, and so. They had to figure out something else. And at first, they wanted flamethrowers. And that's what they were going to shoot out. Were just like flamethrowers.
Dude, yes. Hell yes.
Everyone stand back.
And whatever the MPAA equivalent in England said no, because it would be too scary for kids. And so he was like, "Oh, okay, flamethrower is going to be too scary for kids. Well, why don't we just do the opposite? Fire extinguishers."
I loved the fire extinguishers so much.
Yeah, so they have fire extinguishers, and it's just because the director was being like kind of pithy. I just
MPAA. Love the idea that anytime someone would get too close to a Dalek, he'd be like, "No,
yeah,
back away."
They shot this in 6 weeks in April of 1965. It was released in August of 1965.
Wow.
Yay.
Yeah. Let me say that again in case anyone missed what I just said.
Oh
this
my
was
God.
Filmed in over 6 weeks beginning in April of 1965, and it was released in theaters in August of 1965.
I missed the 60s.
This movie had a 4-month turnaround,
That's
3.5 month
crazy.
turnaround. Yeah.
That's like it's like when the Pink Panther came out and they were like, make another one literally right now. And then A Shot in the Dark came out like within the same year as the Pink Panther.
Uh-huh. That's insane. So yeah, really fast turnaround on this. The script was not written by Terry Nation. It was adapted from Terry Nation's TV script by Milton Subotsky, who also produced the film, and it was directed by Gordon Fleming, who would go on to direct the sequel as well. And this was filmed in Technicolor.
Yeah, it was.
First Doctor Who story to be made in color and in the widescreen format.
Mm.
But what's funny is, so these Daleks that they built for this, which were built to be more imposing than the ones on TV, because everyone was a little bit taller. So, much like the Daleks in Victory of the Daleks, they had to rebuild them because their people were taller. So they wanted them to be scarier. And they made them bigger. But what's funny is, despite the only 3-month turnaround between making this movie and it coming out in theaters, these Daleks, their actual first appearance was in the Doctor Who story, The Chase, because they just like the BBC was like, oh, what are you doing over there? You're making a Dalek movie? Can we rent some of those Daleks? And they just... They just rented them Daleks.
Daleks gotta eat.
Yeah, so they rented them some Daleks, and they used them in The Chase. And the filming and television premiere of The Chase happened in that 3-month period between shooting this movie and it being released in theaters.
That is ridiculous.
That's insane. It's like it's like a turducken of Dalek.
Yeah.
Can you imagine driving on the freeway and like those metal cages where they keep like horses when they're transporting horses, just seeing like 3 Daleks in the back?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all of the background that I can really find on this. Apparently there's a documentary called Dalek Mania that's about these films.
Oh hell yeah.
But I couldn't find it online. It's like on the Blu-ray release for these, I guess. Yeah, so I'm sure there's probably more information in that. And if anyone has seen it and would like to share some fun information, you can do that on our Facebook group. But we should talk about this thing.
This piece of pop art.
So first of all, I have to point out, like, and this was like freaking out both myself and Bethany, who watched it with me. Peter Cushing is 11 or 12 years younger than he is in Star Wars.
Yeah. And yet he's in full like
goofy grandpa mode.
Yeah, goofy grandpa mode for real. The Doctor Who was probably the weirdest part of this movie for me.
I would argue it was Ian Chesterton, who is a bumbling buffoon in this.
Oh my God.
In this version. Ian Chesterton, he's constantly falling down. He's constantly leaning on things he shouldn't be leaning on.
Yeah.
And then breaking those things and falling or sending them to another dimension.
A minute into his appearance, he like sits on his own box of chocolates that he's brought for Barbara.
Yeah.
That the doctor mistook for him.
Yeah.
Susan is actually a child. Susan is like
8.
Is actually, she's like Lucy Pensive instead of Susan Pensive. When I realized that the little girl reading a book on the couch was Susan, I had a reaction kind of like when the 10th Doctor learns that in the dimension they're in, Rose is a dog.
Uh-huh. It's that was crazy. I want to know what was up with Barbara's hair, because like
Barbara got so big.
Yeah, for some reason, in this version, Barbara is Doctor Who's daughter.
No, dude, they're both granddaughters. They're like Susan and
Oh.
Barbara are sisters, and that was the weirdest thing for me.
Okay, Susan and Barbara are sisters. Okay, yeah, but like, so Barbara is like, like 18
Yeah.
to 20, somewhere in that range,
I would say
something like
so.
that. And Ian Chesterton is like pushing 30.
The
like,
60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 60s.
Who are we kidding? That's absolutely
Yeah.
still going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's still happening. Although it's not. It's happening less if the people aren't rich. But yeah. So he's like in his 30s, dating a 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, she really likes this guy, despite the fact that he's like he's
a buffoon.
He's a buffoon. He's like Ian Chesterton in this is like what's his name?
Goofy.
I mean, yeah, he is kind of like Goofy, but no, that movie, The Trip, Rob Brydon. He reminds me he reminds me of like Rob Brydon doing a like Costello impression.
Wow, how has Rob Brydon not shown up yet in Doctor Who? Has he?
I don't know. Actually, I've never looked that up.
There's
Steve Coogan
in The First Trip. There's actually a reference where he's Steve Coogan is on the phone with his agent, and the only offer that he has is to be the baddie in a Doctor Who episode.
Oh, right. And he turns it down.
Yeah, but I don't think Coogan's actually been in it, which would be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. Well, anyway, he reminds me of like Rob Brydon doing a like Costello impression, like Abbott and Costello. Yeah, like he's and then not like that last bit where like he opens the door and like the
Roman
it's like the scene from Back to the Future 3 where like all of the cowboys are running toward.
Yeah.
And then he just like keeps like pushing the thing and like being like, what are we gonna do? Like, so and ridiculous.
And the movie just fades out on that.
Yeah. Very slapsticky. This guy, this Ian Chesterton.
It's definitely like in the scene in Avatar: The Last Airbender when they're watching the play.
And oh my god! Yeah.
I feel like real Ian would be. They really did him dirty in this.
Yeah,
edit.
No, he would be so offended by this. And I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
When he saw this in theaters.
I had a weird moment because I kind of ran the gamut with Peter Cushing where I was like, that's not even the Doctor. But he kind of there was a moment where he was in TARDIS and his hands were behind his back and his knees were kind of doing a little wobbly thing. And I was like, whoa, that's 11.
Interesting.
And I couldn't help but wonder if Matt Smith had seen this and let a little bit of 11 a little bit of Cushing come out.
Maybe.
Because of all of the Doctors, the only person that kind of reminded me of him was 11.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I could see that a little bit to a certain extent. He's doing like I can't really describe this performance, but it's like it's like a person who is too young to be playing a grandpa in a local staging of some play,
like the Nutcracker.
Yeah, we're like a 40-year-old is playing a grandpa, and he does it by like pitching his voice higher. And then, but also like stage whispering, like I don't like he's hello,
I'm Doctor Who.
I'm Doctor Who. Like it's ridiculous.
This is the TARDIS. I feel like Susan almost does. Susan, this is the least I've ever seen Doctor Who do in a story.
Mm-hmm.
This was the most of an ensemble. He is right there with them for all of it. When they're locked in the cage, when they're... Oh, okay. What did we think of the moment when the doctor is trying to like will these pacifistic aliens into combat, and you gotta fight, you gotta kill them, and then he does so by pretending to sell or barter one of the women of the society into like slavery. And then he finally gets one of them to break, and he goes, "See, you will fight for something, eh? The master becomes." I just kept imagining like Peter Capaldi doing that, or like David Tennant doing that, and that was cold blooded.
It was pretty cold blooded, yeah. So I guess one thing that so this starts off with them just like hanging out at home.
Yeah.
Ian's coming to pick up Barbara for a date, and is very nervous about meeting her grandfather for the first time. Susan's reading a textbook on advanced physics, just like she is in An Unearthly Child, right? Isn't that like one of the first things we see her doing is reading an advanced?
Yeah.
That sounds correct.
Yeah. So she's reading that. Barbara's reading a science book, and the Doctor Who is reading comics.
Yeah.
And so Ian comes over for the date, and Doctor Who is like showing him around their house, and then takes him to the backyard, and then they go inside TARDIS, and he freaks out about it being bigger on the inside, and then just is real chill about the whole situation.
Everything else.
Yeah, everybody's pretty chill.
What did we think of TARDIS?
It's ugly.
It looks
like it looks like the inside of an electrical shed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know it is bigger than the outside, but it doesn't look that much bigger.
No.
It's still pretty cramped in there, I would say, for 4 people. But okay, so they go
to Skaro.
In there. Yeah, Ian like accidentally leans on something he shouldn't and sends them to Skaro.
Well, he smelled the delicious pie on a windowsill.
Yeah. Right. And floated through the air.
It accidentally hit the lever.
Yeah. He really is like a cartoon character. So they go out, it's all radiation, and like from this point on, this movie is basically a beat for beat remake of the Daleks 6-part story.
That really threw me out. I wasn't expecting it to be as faithful as it was.
It's so faithful that they spend 10 minutes on rope safety.
Yes. Oh my God.
That was nuts.
The rope safety sequence is intact.
There's a glorious Technicolor.
Yeah, there's a part
Technicolor.
There's a part when they're done climbing the temple or whatever, the green temple, and it just zooms out as if the movie's like, look how far they climbed.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, by the way. It was a really beautiful matte painting, I thought.
Yeah, the matte painting was the matte paintings in this are pretty nice, honestly. All things considered.
It was a pretty movie. It kind of reminded me of like a Robert Stevens movie, like Mary Poppins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah, it definitely had that vibe. It reminded me of Willy Wonka a lot too.
Yeah.
So they're like walking around the Dalek temple, which I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Dalek temple has stairs. And I
didn't notice.
I don't know how Daleks could use those, but
they do it like BB-8.
I guess in case they have guests.
Stairs for the guests.
Yeah.
They do it like BB-8. They just go one step at a time.
What did you guys think about these Daleks? Because I found myself like gripping the couch every time that they spoke.
Okay, yeah.
Because they spoke for a long time and they broke out every syllable. Yeah.
We need one of you to go outside into the there should be a rule.
You're still doing it too fast. It was like
yeah.
Yeah.
Like Morse code. A Dalek should say no more than 5 words per line.
Yes. Although it's okay now because they don't break down the syllables like that and they emote more. they do the up and down thing. Like,
there were a couple of really unbearable scenes.
Dalek.
Yeah.
Like, they do fun stuff like that now. Whereas, like, back then, it was just like, I am a Dalek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a human.
This drug will help them go outside due to the rain. There was a couple of unbearable scenes where it'd be two Daleks talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the opening scene of the Star Wars holiday special, which is like the first 20 minutes are just Wookiees roaring at each other, and there's no English spoken at all.
There's no subtitles or
no subtitles. It's just Wookiees like pantomiming and growling, and that's it for 20 minutes. Yeah,
for real? I've never seen this thing.
For real, the first 20 minutes of the Star Wars holiday special is just that, and that's what it reminded me of. Every time they did a scene between two Daleks talking to each other, or a Dalek performing a monologue, it was just unbearable. Where you're just like, what is happening? Why? And they gave the Daleks all of the exposition. So
yes,
every time the Daleks spoke, it was just boring exposition, and it just was unbearable because they talk like this, and I wanted to die.
It was like a Google Translate. Yeah, it was nuts. That being said, I loved the Dalek design. I loved when they would carry a little tray.
Yeah.
Yes.
It made me really
Love that.
I want there to be like a cantina in Doctor Who where they just have like reformatted Dalek husks that just serve drinks.
Yeah.
I
liked that they kept a lot of the cliffhangers from the original story intact, but they weren't cliffhangers anymore.
Yeah.
There was a part where a Dalek rolls into the prison cell, and he's like, "One of you must go outside," and then it kind of cuts to a close up of his face, and he's like, "Who will it be?" Like
Yeah.
what
I love that.
What are we doing?
Oh, that was so good. Oh man, another favorite part with the Daleks is when they are pretending that Ian is a Dalek. So he's crawled into one of the Daleks, and they're like pushing him along as if the Dalek is pushing them along because they don't want him to use any of the controls lest he become a Dalek. And so they're pushing him along and like acting like they're prisoners, and they run into another Dalek, and then like, isn't it like the Thal's like rodeo? Like,
oh my god, the lasso! Yeah.
They lasso the other Dalek, and he's like, "No, stop it!" And then they push him down an elevator shaft.
Yeah.
And on the way down, he hits the back of the shaft and just shatters into pieces.
The stalk goes like clean off.
Yeah, it just they just break this Dalek. And it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. No.
Nothing is more pathetic than a Dalek just begging for help.
Right? Help me.
Help me. They're free. Help me.
Oh man. That was great. I really wanted like these. They had lava lamps. Did you guys see the lava lamps?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I wanted these Daleks to be like at one of Austin Powers' parties, like just like in the background.
Oh man, the Thals are just the most Aryan dudes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, like even more so than the original story.
Yeah, because they're in color, and so you see just how Aryan they truly are.
Uh-huh.
We are peaceful.
I did dig their makeup though.
Yeah. Cool.
One thing that I kind of dug, there were scenes where the Thrall were just like when they were beginning their exodus into the Dalek city or whatever, and just like, wow, you don't see Doctor Who episodes with that many extras.
Yeah, I thought that too. Yeah,
and it was pretty epic.
For sure. I mean, yeah, by
sure,
old school Doctor Who standards, for
definitely.
sure.
Yeah. This was fun. If I was like 8 and into Doctor Who when I was 8, I think this would have been entertaining for me.
Okay, I think I would have been bored out of my mind as an 8-year-old, but
this was entertaining only because we've seen so much classic Who, and I was like, oh my god, what is this?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, but I miss Carol Ann Ford. I miss the actual crew. You know.
Yeah, I definitely miss the actual crew. Barbara, I mean, we mentioned this before. Her hair was like, I don't know what they were doing.
Ridiculous.
It was like it was too short to be a beehive, but they wanted the character to have a beehive, and she refused to wear a wig, so they just did the best they could.
Yeah.
Turning her like, kind of like it seemed like she had like a bob, like something slightly longer than a bob. And then they tried to turn that into a beehive with like hairspray and
prayers.
And prayers, yeah. But it was like the worst hairstyle I've ever seen in like an actual film that wasn't on purpose. It was yikes, big yikes. That hair was a big yikes.
Oh man. So what's the sequel about?
I don't want to spoil that for you because we have to cover the story that it's based on first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I will say this though. None of the companions, I use that term loosely. None of the companions in this story return for the next one.
Like the characters?
Yeah, the adventure that Doctor Who goes on does not feature any of the other characters in this.
Probably more.
So like none of them come back. It's just Doctor Who and like new people, and one of those people is played by none other than Bernard Cribbins.
Shut up, for real?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think he plays a police officer that like helps Doctor Who in their new adventure.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's like young Bernard Cribbins.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
it's like late 50s.
Yeah. But something to look forward to when we get around to covering that one.
Definitely.
But this one is it's insane, and it definitely has that, like you said, that bed knobs and broomsticks vibe, and that like if this was on Disney Plus, I don't think anyone would bat an eye. Really, like it feels like.
Sure.
Like an old school Disney live action movie.
Yeah.
Like Dr.
Very much
Kazoo
so.
and the Pink Whatsits, or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Whatever the hell they were doing in the 60s.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of has like a Dr. Dolittle vibe too.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
I wish they would make another one of these. Just like an off-brand, like straight to TV children's movie where his name is Doctor Who.
Yeah. Anyway,
Daleks are pink.
the Daleks are pink. This is it's a lot. There's that bit where they all have radiation poisoning, which watching this on the other side of having seen Chernobyl, I was really worried for them this time.
See, a
I
Dalek
was a lot more worried.
A Dalek rolls out with that chart from the trial. It's hydrogen.
In stage 2, your skin will fall off.
Oh no.
For like 5 minutes.
Oh man. Yeah. But
what a gift.
What a gift. So happy April Fools, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you enjoyed us talking about this. We'll probably not talk about the sequel until like this time next year.
Because that story is what, like the 10th one?
I think so. Yeah. So we got a couple of seasons of long way around to get through.
Oh boy.
But we will we'll definitely be getting to that one probably for April Fools next year. And then after that, I don't know what we're going to do. We'll have to like cover that soap opera episode. Remember that? The soap opera crossover?
No.
What, really? From the 80s?
No.
Like it was after Doctor Who was canceled and there was a soap opera. Let me see. Hold on. Doctor Who soap opera.
Didn't they make an Inspector Spacetime web series?
Yeah, I think they did, but it wasn't like made by anyone. Let's see. Yeah, I forget where. I can't find it because I don't remember what it was. Somebody will comment because it's really famous for how bad it is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So anyway,
we could talk about that pilot, the Sarah Jane K9 one from like the 80s.
Oh
hell yeah,
that too. Yeah. Okay, so we've got plenty of fuel for the April Fool's fire in the future.
I mean, I still have that DVD of the complete series of the Adventures of K9 I haven't watched.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That's so funny. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back in a little while with our new season of The Long Way Around, a proper season. And thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll talk to you then. Bye.